Hello and welcome to episode 22 of Let's Talk Immigration. Um, Today, I want to talk about a blog entry that I published a couple days ago, and then I'll do a Q&A and probably like wrap up a little early. Today's my sister's birthday, Lizzie. Happy birthday, Lizzie. She's not watching, but I thought I would say that anyway. Okay, so let me see here. If you have a question, it's best to type it on YouTube or Facebook or Telegram. There's a place to type questions in those three places, and I will address them after I talk about this blog entry. Okay, so if you didn't know, to get to my blog, you go to the Morrison Urena website. This is the Morrison Urena website, morrisonurena.com. And over to the right, there's more, and you can go down to blog. And this is blog entries where when I'm thinking about stuff, I write it down if it's helpful. So my latest blog entry, I'll make it visible, is U.S. Embassy Ankara, falling behind and also understaffed. What motivated this blog entry is we received this information about the backlogs of immigration visa categories at U.S. Embassy Ankara. You'll see that the immediate relative categories, which is spouses of U.S. citizens, parents of U.S. citizens, children of U.S. citizens, minor children of U.S. citizens. These are increasing. It was 1,400 6 months ago, and now it's 1,827. So there was another direct declaration that was filed. There were two declarations. This came from one, and then there was another declaration filed in one of our lawsuits that explains why. And part of the reason is they are understaffed still. I don't know how they can blame it on COVID when they are still understaffed. They're still causing the problem. So anyway, here, let me just go over what I've written here. These two declarations that we received, one was from Rebecca Austin, who's with the National Visa Center, and one was from Jane Howe, who is with U.S. Embassy Ankara, okay, the Minister Council of Consular Affairs at Ankara. So we learned from the Austin Declaration that Ankara is falling behind, as I said, and the immediate relative categories, the backlogs got bigger. The family preference categories decreased by 12%. I think part of that is because Iranian spouses of green card holders, some of those green card holders, it's been so long they've waited that they have naturalized, and their beneficiaries are now no longer F2A, but are now IR1. So I think that's why the family preference category may have been decreasing, not even because of Ankara's activities, because if you look at the visa statistics for monthly visa statistics, February is the most recent. Ankara is not impressive, okay? So more than 99% of the visa applicants stuck in the backlog at Ankara are Iranian nationals. And the reason that's significant is it tells us that Ankara apparently is using two separate lines, maybe three. One line for Turkish nationals, one line for Iranian nationals, and then if you are Syrian or Afghan national, I don't know what line they put you in. I'm not really sure. I do know that we have some clients that are Syrian nationals waiting for this embassy that have been DQ now for 5 months. So I'm thinking they're not in the Turkish line. The Turkish line is the one to be in at Ankara, right? So whether this separate line thing is legal, we don't know yet, right? So I've taken that separate line, a legal challenge to the separate lines. I guess we filed 4 lawsuits about that so far. Sonny Santos Wilson and also Naveed all make challenges about that. And we haven't got all 4 of those lawsuits are pending. So maybe filing a new group lawsuit soon about that issue. Haven't decided yet. Other information from these declarations. Ankara, during COVID, this is interesting, eliminated 5 staff positions. They said, oh, we don't need you because we can't afford you. Well, as everyone that's watching this knows, immigrant visa applicants pay their fees in advance. So why was there a money problem? I don't understand that. Where did that money go, right? If you're OIG, the State Department Office of Inspector General, look into that because it's curious. Okay, the waiting room, this is irrelevant, but interesting. The new waiting room, Ankara opened a new embassy in September, and the waiting room is bigger than the old waiting room, and so it can accommodate more applicants. They should bring all 3,000, 4,000 applicants in that waiting room and have them wait, I guess. I don't know. Okay, the other thing is, technically, that U.S. Embassy, Ankara, has resumed normal operations, except for an in-country quarantine period. I'm not sure what that is. Okay. Does Turkey have an in-country quarantine period? I'm not sure. Or maybe it did have one. Okay. And the embassy's functions were impacted by the earthquake. Understandably, the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria were very devastating for the people in those countries. And they had to cancel some visa interviews. They had to focus on some different kind of interviews, trying to focus on getting U.S. citizens out that wanted out. And so that impacted what's going on there a little. Okay. So the big picture takeaways. This is primarily for Iranians that are trying to decide between Yerevan, Ankara, or Abu Dhabi. Normally, I would say this information suggests that Ankara is not a place to go. But we do not have solid data on Abu Dhabi or Yerevan. I believe, on information and belief, that Abu Dhabi's backlog is much worse based on statistics from June. You can get that here. But neither of the 3 are aggressively adjudicating visa applications. So if you have an Iranian beneficiary and you can get that beneficiary to I was going to say a 3rd country, but actually a 4th country, to country in Europe or Africa or South America, Barbados, San Salvador, Mexico, Canada. Canada is not ideal. Montreal has a backlog too. But if you can get that beneficiary to another country than these 3, it's probably a good idea. That's what I write there. But if that's not practical, it's worth exploring a mandamus lawsuit. And that's what we do, right? Mandamus lawsuits are an extremely effective tool, especially when you are in AP. But they're also a tool if you're waiting on an interview and your delay has been unreasonable. They're not always effective, especially when you're waiting on an interview from NBC. But I'll tell you what, more than 90% of the time they are effective, A. And then B, you know what? We need to be fighting, right? Don't just like passively say, oh, this is what the State Department wants, so that's what I have to do. No, they're wrong. So taking them to court is the right thing to do. I realize that it's an economic consideration for most people. Mandamus lawsuits are not free, but that's what we do. If you're interested in that, talk to me directly. If you need to talk in Farsi, talk to Farshad. Okay. And that's that blog entry. So I'm going to stop sharing. And now we switch to the Q&A part of the live, where I look at the questions, I answer them, I try to answer them, and then I look at the next question. So if you have a question, get that in now. I drink Pepsi because Britney Spears drink Pepsi. Maybe not, but she did a commercial for Pepsi. No, just random fact. Okay. Virashan says, hi, Curtis. Awesome job keeping everyone informed. I'm trying, but okay, we are 6 months. Average month Court of Appeals provides a verdict. Okay, this is a good luck plaintiff. So our chances will start becoming greater as more time passes. Virashan makes a point. The longer we wait for the answer of the appeal, the more likely the answer is coming soon. So hopefully that will come soon. Do you think we should start reviewing expired police certificates? No. But there's no harm in it. So if you want to do that, you can do it. There's no harm in it. Abraham, DV 2021. Your journey may be over. If you're not a good luck plaintiff or you cannot benefit from the Ray order, so just saying DV 2021 makes me worry for you. Alex says save DV 2020. I agree, Alex. But you're talking to someone who has done more to save DV 2020 than anyone else. Go tell the people that haven't. Okay. Karok also says DV 2021. Well, if you're not a good luck plaintiff and you were not waiting on an embassy protected by the Ray order, your journey is over. Good evening, James. I'm happy to see you. One of my favorite good luck plaintiffs. Okay. And James, I know you have a question, so I'll look for it later. Okay. Tony says, hi, Mr. Morrison. What's the best way to process a DV lottery winning if you already have a B1, B2 visa? Well, Tony, if you're asking whether or not you should do adjustment of status from within the United States or you should do consular processing, the answer first depends upon where you are. Consular processing is great it's more expensive, right? You have the fees are higher. You still have to pay the KCC fee, but you also have to pay USCIS fees. And really, to do it right, I'd recommend hiring an attorney. We represent people in adjustment of status, DVs in adjustment of status particularly. But this is not a decision that you can make from outside the United States. Let me tell you why. You cannot use a B1, B2 visa to permanently reside in the U.S. So if you think you can go up, enter the U.S., get to the customs officer, and he says, why are you entering in the U.S.? And you say, oh, because I'm going to adjust status for the DV. Well, he's going to put you back on the plane and take you back home. So this is a decision to adjust status that can only be considered. This is a choice that can only be considered from people from within the U.S. They cannot make the decision prior to entering the U.S. I hope that gives some clarity. Okay. Lala says, good afternoon. Good afternoon. In my opinion, is there any hope that the U.S. Embassy in Islamabad will begin implementing similar procedures as the U.S. Embassy in India to clear the backlog? Or is there any hope the U.S. Embassy in Islamabad will begin speeding up? Asking for our one specifically. Thank you. We got news today that one of our Naveed plaintiffs was scheduled, which was good. More than half of them still are not in that situation, though, so we're going to continue fighting that case. Generally, I'm not very optimistic about Islamabad. The clearing the backlogs at that embassy does not seem to be a priority of Secretary of State Blinken. And that's why lately I've been contemplating another lawsuit, very similar to Naveed, but filed in a different jurisdiction to give another judge's eyes a chance to consider the situation, right? So we'll be making a decision on that in the coming weeks. But Like the Naveed lawsuit, we're only going to take plaintiffs who have experienced a significant unreasonable delay. In my view, if you're a spouse of a U.S. citizen, more than 30 days is an unreasonable delay. But for the group lawsuit, which is more affordable, and also we want to make the facts compelling collectively, we're probably going to say everybody needs to be DQ for a year. So, but that's just hinting at what we're considering. Okay, none of that's in stone yet. Isaac says, hello, good lawyer. Thank you. Any news concerning Good Luck and Ray? I have no news concerning Good Luck and Ray. Raymond says, we hope to hear good news about DB 2020. So do I, Raymond. Henny says, I'm a Good Luck plaintiff. I'm applied mathematical engineer working in data and machine learning. Great. I tried to use ChatGPT-4, which gets 90% on the exam, to try to predict some outcome of the Good Luck case. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Oh no, I hope you commented with what happened. I want to know what it says. Oh, it does. Okay, I'm going to skip some questions to find out what. So I give the chat a lot of data and all the briefs made by us. Wow. The Go lawyer and the government, in addition to Judge Mehta's order, and also a history of some orders issued by each judge on the panel. And the result was as follows. This is crazy. Okay, let's see. Loss on the class action 2020, win for DV 2021, and also reservations for all visas for Go. Of course, that ChatGPT also precise that the court acted in the rule of law, and this is not a prediction, but just the ruling if ChatGPT was a federal judge. Well, I'm glad ChatGPT-4 is not a federal judge. Also, I think ChatGPT-4 may be drunk because our win on 2020 was really solid. Like we won summary judgment, right? But they were a little bit different. There's, as you know, you entered this information. There were like 5 statement of issues for 2020 and like 6 for 2021. And they only had like 4 of those issues overlap. But interesting to see what would happen if ChatGPT was a federal judge. Thank you for making this live have a little surprise, because I did not see that coming. Tony says, can I move to the US and use AOS to process? Tony, you cannot ask that question, okay? Because you cannot consider that option while you are outside the United States. So I'm not going to consult with you about that option because you've identified yourself as being outside the United States. Stella says, hello, maybe unrelated, sorry. Alakrami. Oh, I love to talk about Alakrami. Have they had their visas issued? No, he has not. Why not? Well, the Alakrami lawsuit has a stay that's pending the appeal of Gomez and Goodluck. So it's sort of ironic because the law in Alakrami, because Alakrami has already been to the appeals court before and they won, and then it went back to the district court. But what they won on is whether or not the visas could be reserved. And so whether or not the visas can be issued, they're actually, that case is on hold, waiting. Now, we're the Goodluck and Gomez, mainly Gomez, are the cases in the front of the line. And Alakrami will probably follow whatever happens in Goodluck and Gomez. Not necessarily, but probably. It's on hold too. By the way, if you ever want to know more about Alakrami, you can type his name into Google, and he did an interview on Democracy Now!, the plaintiff himself. Very interesting and smart chap, and I hope he gets visas, even though he's not my client. Okay. Amadou says, good morning, Mr. Curtis. I'm a Good Luck plaintiff. What are the situations in which we are today? I'm a bit lost. I'm in Paris. Thank you. Well, I hope you are enjoying Paris. It's a beautiful city. So in Good Luck, we won injunctive relief and from the government, from the Biden administration, and then the Biden administration appealed that order to the appeals court. So the lawsuit before the district court was put on hold. Like we've already done the briefing for summary judgment, which is like the final outcome of the lawsuit, but it's on hold and until the appeals court rules on whether or not Judge Mehta had the right, the authority, and whether or not he made an error in reserving those unused visas. So that's where we are. We are waiting on the opinion from a 3-judge panel of the Circuit Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. They heard the case. Rafael Fluta, D.C., made compelling arguments in September. And so it's been about 6 months since that hearing, and we continue to wait for the opinion. Greetings, Isaac in Germany. Guten Morgen. What happens to DV? Let me see. What happens to DV 2021 if Trump will be elected in 2024? Well, DV 2021, your journey is over unless you are a good luck plaintiff, go plaintiff, or you can benefit from the Ray order. Okay. But let's put that aside. If Trump is elected in 2024, that means he's the president. The president controls the executive branch of the government. It does not control the judicial branch of the government. Okay, so it would not influence. It would not determine the outcome of the appeal at all. Now, what happens next? Whether or not the State Department implements the court's order or decides to appeal, certainly who the president is could have an influence over that. But what's interesting is if you go back to the Gomez case in 2020, following the September 30th loss to Judge Mehta, the Trump administration filed an appeal and then they withdrew that appeal. So unlike the Biden administration, the Trump administration is not as invested in fighting DVs in courts. That's really weird to say. It doesn't make any sense because the DV program was the enemy of Trump. But when it came to his lawyers fighting about it, his lawyers had other things to do. They were trying to keep him out of prison, which they're still trying to do. Okay. Tony says, assuming I'm on holiday in the U.S. and find that I have... No, Tony, I'm not playing with hypotheticals. You cannot talk about adjustment of status on the internet before you're in the United States. When you get to the United States, when you fly in and you go to customs and they say, why are you entering the U.S.? What if that customs officer has screenshots from this conversation? Okay. You cannot lawfully enter the U.S. to permanently reside on a B1, B2 visa. So stop asking questions about this while you are not in a position to consider adjustment of status. And I'm sorry I made you an example, Tony, but y'all can't ask about adjustment of status when you're not in the United States, okay? It's just bad news bears. Not good. Bad news bears. It's a film reference. It means not good. Okay. Arnaud says, hi, Curtis. I'm a good luck DV 2021. Please talk to us about summary judgment in case we win appeal. Well, the government filed their summary judgment motion. We filed our cross motion for summary judgment. Both of us filed oppositions and replies, and we made compelling arguments. One of our arguments in the summary judgment motion for good luck is that the number of reserved visas is increased, not to include all the plaintiffs, but to align better with what the judge intended to do. And so instead of 6,914, we make compelling arguments of why it should have been 10,000 based upon the judge's reasoning. Whether or not Judge Mehta finds those arguments compelling, or whether or not he even grants summary judgment, we have to wait and see. But right now, those are on hold. There's no question we will win some of the issues on summary judgment. It's just whether we will win all. Because some of the issues Judge Mehta already ruled on, they're identical to Gomez, but not all. "25 minutes, wow. Okay. Artur, 20, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Okay. Embassy in Armenia. On March 2nd, 2023, a request was sent to KCC. The next day, the reply that the case was ready for an interview. Since there are few visas left, they are in panic." Artur, from context, I'm going to guess you are a diversity visa selectee for 2023. Also, I'm going to tell you that you're misinformed when you say there are few visas left. There are 55,000 visas allotted by Congress. Why on earth would you say there are few visas left? If you have a reason why you think that there are few visas left, let me know in comments, because I'd like to know that reason. Stella, thank you. You're welcome, Stella. Archer says, "Can you help speed up the appointment? Thanks in advance." Don't know which appointment you're talking about, Archer. Okay. Oh, you're talking about the DV appointment. You just asked that. Well, you've already locked yourself in. Like, I can't help you change your interview location because your case is probably already at AV status because it's ready for interview. So there's nothing we can do now. You come to me once you're already on the train. So what can I do here? Nothing I can do to change your case right now. If we identify an unlawful policy of the president or the State Department, between now and September 30th, we'll file a group lawsuit, but I don't see what that policy is right now. Except for the policy of the NIV prioritization scheme, where the State Department is prioritizing students and tourists over immigrant visas. But I feel weird about bringing another case on that, challenging that prioritization scheme with respect to DVs, because that's what our UAL case was last year. And while it resulted in a lot of people being issued visas, we didn't actually win that case. That case was dismissed. Okay, so it would be there would be issues with bringing that same case, especially bringing it in Chicago. So we'd have to think about that seriously. And so right now, that's not on our agenda. We are not planning a group case for April. Nope. Okay. A group case for DVs in April. No. Okay. Arnaud says, other question, what is the component of appeal decision and it's taking too much time like that? What exactly? Your question's too vague. I can't even answer it because I don't know what you're talking about. What is the component of the appeal decisions? They have to answer all of the statement of issues, okay? Here, I'm going to show you where to find this, and then you're going to find it yourself, okay? We go back to the website, Morrison Urena, Diversity Visa, DV 2020 appeal decisions. I assume you're talking about 2021. Good luck. Good luck. Okay, and then you go statement of issues. Control find statement of issues. The government statement of issues. Okay, so in good luck, the statement of issues. Oh, well, that's embarrassing. That did not work. Okay, I'll have to work on that. The statement of issues was on the website, but it's been disabled. I think it was a technical glitch on our side because we switched to Microsoft, and Microsoft is evil. Let me give you an example of the Gomez statement of issues. So in the Gomez case, one of the issues is whether when an applicant is barred from being entering the U.S. by the president, does that mean he's barred from, or he or she is barred from being issued a visa? The second statement of issue is whether the Trump administration violated the Administrative Procedures Act with its visa prioritization guidance that responded to COVID. The third statement of issue is whether a state has a duty to process DV applications. They argue like crazy that they do not have a duty. They think that the DV program is optional. And don't for a minute think that a big reason of why they think that, Secretary Blinken, is the majority of diversity visa selectees are brown and black, and the diversity visa program is the leading driver of black and brown immigration to the United States. So it's what a crazy coincidence that the immigration program that is responsible for making the face of America more diverse is the one they have a problem with, that they say they don't have a duty to implement. Yes, Secretary Blinken, I'm mad at you. Okay. Conduct is shameful. You should not be appealing this order. The issue number 4 is, does the district court have the authority to reserve visas beyond the end of the fiscal year? See, that issue is the same for good luck. So that's an example of statement of issues, and those that your question is the component of the appeal decisions, like what they're trying to decide. They're trying to decide the statement of issues for each of those cases. Gomez, good luck. Go. Right. Four cases. There are some other cases that are consolidated with those cases, but I think they all fall under those 4 umbrellas. Okay. Good question. Hanny says the argument made by GPT-4 was that in DV 2020, we cannot consider that the Department of State acted in a capricious way because COVID was new and it shut down all processing of visas. Almost all countries in the world were on lockdown. So it considered in the issue of proclamation that the status gives discretion to the Department of State to act. Well, Hanny, what I think GPT-4 doesn't realize, what you didn't feed into GPT-4 was the motivation of Proclamation 10014, because it was not to mitigate the impacts of COVID. It was to suspend the immigration of predominantly black and brown immigrants into the U.S. Okay, Trump was not trying to stop COVID. I don't know why you all forget this. I mean, like his suggestion, I mean, he joked about like drinking bleach and stuff. And then later he said it was fake, or in the beginning he said it was fake. I mean, COVID was not his concern. That's not what he was trying to do. To the extent the proclamation said it was trying to do that, it still didn't say it. It was trying to save American jobs so that immigrants don't steal our jobs, which hasn't. I think that me and GPT-4 might get in a fight if we're like, we meet up at a bar. Okay. Just give it more information. Maybe it'll make better decisions. Okay. For those of you who don't know, GPT-4 is like, I can't explain it, but it's like a software. It's like a computer. It's like a robot. It's not a real human. It's not a real judge. It's not a real lawyer. So don't get too worried about what GPT-4 said. Okay. But it's interesting. Why DV 2020 has been waiting for so long to get the case finished? Any thoughts, Mr. Morrison? I have one thought. It's because Secretary Blinken appealed our victory. What about is not a question. Deepak, you need to do better in asking a question I can answer. What about? I could talk for 5,000 words, you know. So more specific questions. Hanny, you keep telling me about this chat GP. Okay. And that discretion made DV 2020 lose, but 2021, where we had vaccine and where the, okay, chat GPT is not living in the world of law. It's living in like the world of just knowledge. Vaccines were never a factor in the 2020 or 21 case. You can search the thousands of pages of documents and the word vaccine does not come up. But I understand why ChatGPT would make that argument. It's just, no, would not fly. Have you seen the number coming down for immediate relative category in U.S. Embassy Islamabad in 2023? No, it's going up. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's not. Whether in the future that'll change, I don't know. Talk about Islamabad Embassy, why so much delay there? There are two reasons why there's so much delay there. One is it has an enormous backlog, and two is understaffed. Okay, three reasons. Third is it's not a priority for Secretary Blinken or the State Department to do anything about it, unlike many other embassies. So, Hanny, don't tell me about ChatGPT anymore. And that discretion may not. Okay. Andres says, I want to ask questions concerning the Gomez case trial. I'll begin by asking the first question concerning the duration of the final judgment. We already won the final judgment a long time ago. So I don't know, the duration of that is no longer relevant. We won summary judgment in the Gomez case. It's funny, some of those, I've had a plaintiff in Muhammad, Fong Jung, and Kennedy before come to me and says, I want to dismiss my claims. And I'm like, you can't, we already won. Okay. What you're asking about is the Biden administration's appeal of our victory. Okay. That's what you want to know about the duration on. I don't know how long that'll be. Nobody knows how long that'll be. Okay. The second question is, the government just ordered the judge to suspend this trade case. No. I don't know what you mean by trade. Also, it's not, the government doesn't order the judge what to do. Okay, that misunderstands the U.S. justice system. In the United States, we have three branches of government, three separate but equal branches of government. There's legislative, there's executive, and there's judicial. The executive does not boss the judicial. That does not happen. Okay. You're going to use Plan B. I don't know what you mean by Plan B. Also, your question, I'm scared your question is going to cause people to have anxiety, because that did not happen. The government did not order the judges to do anything. Okay. I think Judge Henderson was right when her only question during the appeal was, can the plaintiffs reapply? If there's a new appeal, we need 3 more years for final issuances. Better to apply. Of course. Okay, if you are a DV 2020 or 2021, good luck, Gomez class member, good luck, plaintiff. You need to every October apply for the DV, because you want more than one path in case one doesn't work out, right? Concurrently, you want to pursue as many paths as possible, and one of them might work, right? In fact, I've had DV 2020 clients who got in the U.S. in DV 2021. I've had DV 2021 clients who got in the U.S. in DV 2022. And we've had DV 2020 and 2021 and 2022 clients that get in the U.S. in 2023. So just because you won in a past year, it's okay that you could also win in another year. Okay? So nothing you could do about that today, but every October, enter the DV lottery again. Every May, check to see if you won. Very important to check to see if you won. I can't believe this, but I talk to somebody at least once a week that made their application several months late, which puts them at a disadvantage. They completed the DS-260 several months late because they never checked to see if they won. Okay. Hi, Mr. Robot. That is not a question. The backlog for immediate relatives waiting for interview at U.S. Embassy Islamabad. Oh, you're asking what it is. It is very big and it is bad. Um, I will see real quick if I know what it is. I think I would have shared it on Telegram or Twitter or something, but maybe I put it on my blog. I do not have that in front of me right now. I had a little screenshot that showed what it was, and now that little screenshot is gone. If you look in the, here it is. No, that's from June 30th. I have something that's more recent than June 30th, right? I think I have something more recent than this, but in June, the backlog immediate relative categories was 5,700. Family preference categories was 11,000. I think that's actually flip-flopped a little bit because a lot of the F2As have naturalized and now in the immediate relative category. And I think immediate relative is closer to 9 or 10,000. But it's in the David filings. If you look around the David filings, you'll find the answer to that. Why the Department of State doesn't allow people to go to other countries on a visit visa and then give immigrants visa interview there. Well, Ali, it's a myth that they don't allow it at all. We have had clients successfully do that. The problem is a lot of clients don't want to take the risk. They want to ask NVC if they can do it, and NVC says no. But if you go get the visa, you put your butt on a plane, you fly there to San Salvador or Barbados or Europe, and then you contact the embassy and NVC and say, I am here. Can I do my visa interview? And you're doing that at an embassy that does not have a backlog, you may get a different outcome. But what I find is the minority of immigrant visa applicants are willing to take that kind of aggressive step. They want security. And unfortunately, in this case, security means not getting a visa. Security means, staying stuck in Pakistan. So I recommend those of you who are ambitious and want to try to do things that are not guaranteed. If any of you watching this are remote workers, either the petitioner or the beneficiary is a remote worker, and you're stuck waiting for an immigrant visa interview from Islamabad, Ankara, Abu Dhabi, one thing you can do, this doesn't work for DVs, I don't think. One thing you can do is some countries have what's called nomad visas or remote worker visas. Spain has one. If you're interested in that one, I have a good attorney in Madrid that handles them. And you move to Spain, and then you contact the embassy, U.S. Embassy in Madrid, and say, I am here. Can I do my visa interview here? And they say yes, because you are living in Spain. So there are ways to indirectly get what you want, but you have to be willing to spend money and time and energy and do things that you may not feel comfortable doing. Traveling to countries you've not been to before. Okay. So Arman Arsan says, hello, Mr. Curtis. Do you have any idea how they will distribute DV 2020 Gomez visas? As you know, it's going to be limited. Yes, it's going to be limited. There are 9,095 visas and many more 2020 selectees and families than 9,095. Okay. I do not know, and no one knows, because reserved visas have never been issued before. This will be the first time that happens with the Gomez case. If we beat the appeal, I will say that there are some ground rules of like obvious things. And what I mean by that is if the embassy is understaffed, it's less likely that you're going to be first, right? DVs waiting on visas from embassies that are fully staffed have an advantage. Like embassies in Europe, they have an advantage. There are other factors as well. But we don't know what those factors will be until it actually happens. Okay. So we have to wait and see. Arnaud says Secretary Blinken can help us if he withdraws the appeal, right? Yes. So I need you all to be talking to him. I get 100 messages a day from people that say, help us with the DVs. I'm like, there's nothing else I can do. Getting Secretary Blinken to withdraw the appeal would be huge. Okay. But just hashtag DV2020, hashtag DV2021 alone is not compelling, because the third parties that are watching social media posts like that, they look like spam. They need to be complete sentences and thoughts that tell the stories of what kind of pain and agony and hardship that you're going through because you are in limbo. Masanessa says, I have a question. Now that the government updated their software to issue visas for previous fiscal years, can that be a factor for a judge to rule for plaintiffs? No, because they spend a lot of money for it. That's true. They were told to. No, this is not a factor that they've already spent the money, but it's a good point. They can't, the government can no longer complain in good luck. That's like, what if we have to spend the money, because they already spent it? So that's true. So I'm revising my answer. Gomez, that's not relevant. Good luck, summary judgment, that is relevant. Okay. This is Espanol, I think. Entonces existe la hope, la esperanza para. C. It would be premature to give up hope for DV 2020. Okay. If you're a DV 2020 selectee, the appeals court has not ruled yet, so do not give up hope. I'm sorry, I cannot. Mi español muy triste. Okay. Unavailable explains it all that visas won't be issued after the fiscal year, so Judge Mehta's decision seems to be nullied here. I disagree with this entire sentence. I don't know what you mean by this. Judge Mehta's decision is not nullified by a government argument. He's the judge. Okay. Okay. Hussein says, is embassy in Cairo understaffed? Actually, I don't know that. Probably, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. 2 more questions. Y'all came to me with lots of good ones today. Is that if we fill in the DS-260 and the DV that we reduce our chances to get a student visa or other non-immigrant visa, how about a good luck plaintiff and going for a J-1 visa? Great question. The determination by a consular officer on whether or not you have immigrant intent in a future non-immigrant visa application will consider all factors, including whether or not you entered the DV in the past. The most important thing is never make a misrepresentation to a consular officer. I've already seen people make that mistake, and it's ruined their, it's not only do they not get a non-immigrant visa, but they are barred, they're prohibited from ever getting a visa. from the United States. Never make a misrepresentation to a consular officer. Not that you would, but I'm just saying that. Okay. J1 visa. Alert, alert, caution. A J1 visa has a situation, if a box is checked, it depends. Some J1s do and some J1s don't, that you have a residency issue where you cannot be issued a visa until you have left the country for 2 years. It's stupid. It's dumb. It makes no sense. But J1 visas make me nervous for good luck plaintiffs for that reason, and for DV 2020 selectees. So I will say that there are hundreds of good luck plaintiffs and Gomez class members who have entered the U.S. on non-immigrant visas, such as student visas or tourist visas, B1, B2, or temporary work visas, H-1Bs. Those three categories, our law firm doesn't really represent people with those three categories of visas because those are not immigration visas. Those are temporary visas, non-immigrant visas. So just because you were a prior DV selectee or because you were a good luck plaintiff is not a bar in itself to you being issued a non-immigrant visa. But your mindset could be a factor. Okay. If you go into the visa interview and you're like, I'm going to immigrate to the US, and you're in a B1, B2 interview, they're going to deny your application and you're going to leave. You're not going to go to the US. You need to be thinking about things like Disneyland if you want a B1, B2 visa to visit the US. Oh, but you're talking about J1 working. Actually, I have a suggestion for you. I should have said this to start. Talk to an immigration attorney who practices J1 visas regularly. Okay. If we beat the appeal, will they start with DV 2020 and then DV 2021, or they will be issued concurrently? And good luck. I don't think they'll be issued concurrently. My partner Raphael thinks that there's a possibility for that. I do not think that there's a possibility for that. But there is. Okay, it depends upon the words that are in the outcome, because Ray and Go lawsuits are not waiting on summary judgments. So they will probably start with, if we win everything, they would start with Gomez, Ray, and Go. And then good luck would come later after we won summary judgment from Judge Mehta. Okay. My wife is in Pakistan with my son, who is a U.S. citizen. She got DQ'd June 8th, 2022. Do you have any news about Pakistan? I do not have any news about Pakistan that's more recent than what I've said the last couple of weeks. Things are really bad at Islamabad. We're waiting on the outcome of the Naveed lawsuit, and I'm contemplating another group lawsuit very much like Naveed that we will file in a different jurisdiction to give another judges an opportunity to weigh in on the circumstances that are faced by IR1s and CR1s at Islamabad. I think I did more than 2 questions. Okay. Tony says, will a selectee have any advantage in processing with the assistance of an attorney? At what point should a selectee get the service of an attorney? Tony, this is a difficult question because it depends upon the selectee. Very often I have selectees come to me after they've made a mistake that's irreversible that I can't fix. And then they say, can an attorney help me? Yes, an attorney could have helped you before you made the mistake if you had hired an attorney before you made the mistake. With DV 2023 selectees, I'm noticing only a handful hired us to represent them throughout the process in the beginning. And instead, I'm just getting these continual messages. Hey, I made this awful mistake. Can you fix it? I'm like, no, can't. So the answer to that question is if you have the means to hire an attorney in the beginning. Don't wait till after you make a mistake. For DV 2023 selectees, you've already that train's already left the station. It's too late. Maybe we'll file a group lawsuit for DV 2023 selectees if we identify an unlawful action of the State Department where we think we have a compelling chance at winning relief. But right now, I don't see that. Oh, a question from Telegram. I love Telegram. AA says, hello, dear. Can the pregnancy affect an interview appointment? Can the pregnant woman request for early interview if she is current? I don't know if you're talking about a non-immigrant visa. Current. Okay, you're talking about an immigrant visa, but I don't know what kind of immigrant visa, because current could mean family preference or it could mean DV, but the answer to the question is the same. Pregnancy is not an effective way to get to expedite an interview. The only time that pregnancy plays a role in expediting an interview is if there are severe pregnancy complications where the mother is hospitalized and life is at risk sort of situation. We've had success with expedite requests being granted in that situation where there's a surgery or something like that. I see now it's DV 2023 selectee. No, you can never expedite a DV. A DV application can never be expedited. The only time we've ever seen evidence that the State Department would agree to that is they made a statement after Russia invaded Ukraine that they would expedite DV 2022 selectees that were originally scheduled at Kiev at the embassy in Frankfurt. And I believe that did happen, but it's out of 200 countries in 20 years, that's probably the first time it's ever happened. Okay. I'll go ahead and see if I can skip this in. Okay. If we win appeal, then go back to Judge Mehta for summary judgment. Can the government appeal the summary judgment again? Yes. Just like we can appeal if we lose summary judgment. Courts are fair like that. No, the loser can appeal. Okay. Any good news, Mr. Morrison? DV 2021, no news. Okay. So that wraps up our questions. Lots of good questions today. Thank you very much. Until next week, episode 23, I'll be working on opposition to the government's motion to dismiss in the asylum seeker case, and I'll be doing free consults for those of you that are considering mandamus lawsuits. That's my focus for the next couple of weeks. Okay, so and overseeing anything else that comes at me from wherever. So I hope that all of you are having a wonderful spring and have a great week. Bye.